right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the CDBG Application and Budget Webinar. Today, I'll be presenting. My name is Tanner. I'm a CDBG specialist. Also on the call is Susan Holt, our CDBG Program Manager, and Jeannie Lee, a recurring guest star, formerly with the CDBG program. She's agreed to come back and assist if needed. So thank you, Jeannie. Um, so today we will be going over the application process in general. So the steps you take to get to the application. We'll also be covering the main and sub applications, the budget for both of those applications, and then I'll do a demo of the application and begin to answer any questions you may have. So um, we have plenty of time. We have 2 hours for this webinar, so don't be afraid to ask questions. Let's get started. First, we have the application process. And just for reference, there's these slides that I'll go through, and then we also have a demo where you'll actually see me working through these steps as well. So first, we have navigate to the CDBG webpage, which Susan will drop in the chat for everyone if you don't already have that. It also comes up with a Google search of CDBG HCD or HCD CDBG. We have a link that will go to the solicitation webpage. Uh, and then from that page are all of the solicitations that are under eCivis for HCD or UNA grants as it is now called, but I'll be referring to it as eCivis today. So there are typically two applications for the NOFA, a main and a sub. So on the screen here, you can see the 2025 CDBG main application and then 2025 CDBG sub application. Both are required as part of the application. And once you go to the solicitation page for the specific one, whether that be the main or sub, there will be a click apply button, but that is only available during the application period. For example, 2025 is available starting February 2nd, or then maybe February 3rd. Excuse me. After clicking apply, you'll be tasked with creating a portal account. Or if you already have a portal account, you'll be able to log in. And I just want to stress to please use the portal account login and not the grants network login. That will be very important. And once you create an account or log in, you'll be presented with a page here and a green button that pops up saying create new application. And that's how you'll get to create an application in the portal system. For example, on screen here, you can see that this one would be for our 23-24 CD program income only application, which is actually available for application now if you want to use your program income fund. So you can see what this looks like right now if you are curious. And then once that you click that button, it will create a new tab. So I know previously it would open up in the same screen, but now it is opening in a new tab. So you'll leave the portal account and it'll go into um, a new screen that it is under submittable. Um, so just be aware that that will take you to a new screen. So, and note here, if you're using multiple accounts, please be sure you're accessing the correct applications. There are two um, there are two steps or two logins to access an application. First would be the portal site, which we just went through. And then after you click Create Application, it'll be this blue bar here that you'll have to log in again with the same portal credentials. But if you're someone who is using or doing applications for multiple jurisdictions, maybe you're a consultant, it's really key that you make sure you're logging into the correct account the second time. So you can clear your cookies and cache to make sure that happens. That's just a tip, because the portal account will be logged into one, and then maybe the submittable app will be under another account that you are managing. So just want everyone to be clear on that possibility. And then when you create a new application and you're doing it for the first time under a solicitation. For example, if you're going to create a sub application for the first time, you'll be asked to create a profile. And that's just simple information. That's your name and your email address. And then you only have to do that once uh, per solicitation. So once per the main app, and then once per the sub app, or once per any other app that may be available. And after creating that, you'll be taken to a page where you can see all of your available applications. So when you create your first application, it'll just be one square. So this square will be untitled, and then it'll say um, main application. So you click that to access the application you just created. And then once you click that, there will be at least one form to fill, or one form to fill for the main application, and then 5 forms to fill for the sub application, at least for the 2025 app. It may be different for other years. So you would have to open and complete all of these forms prior to application submittal. A commonly overlooked but very much required component of the application is the budget. So a budget is required for the main application and every sub-application. To complete the budget, you log into your portal account, click My Applications, and then you click the appropriate solicitation link. And then that will provide you a list of all of your applications under that solicitation. And then that will take you to the new tab that is created where you'll log in again, and then you can access your application through the blue box, or the little box with the blue bar. And so um, that's how you access the application, but how you edit the budget, or how you access the edit budget screen, you would click on the appropriate application. That opens a new tab, but the tab that you just left is where the budget will live. So we'll see that in the demo, but be sure to hop back to the tab you were just in to be able to complete that budget. So this is the screen. You can see on this um, page, you'll see that the application itself was launched into another tab, and then this tab itself is where you would go to edit the budget. So you would click the pancake stack to edit your budget, and we'll go over that as well, both in the demo and what to put in your budget. You would then And then you may notice that under project title, the column project title here, it says NA. This is currently a system limitation, so I highly encourage to avoid confusion to which budget belongs to which application. To once you create an application, you immediately complete its budget so that there is no confusion on where it belongs. That's very important because it is required. Um, and this really only applies for the sub application because for the main application, you only can have one of those, and you can have multiple sub applications. And then once the budget is filled out and once all the forms for each application are completed, you will then have to click Submit Main Application or Submit Application for whatever application you're currently on. And this button must be clicked for both the main and any sub application or all your at least one of your sub applications and then all of your other sub applications. That wasn't confusing. Um, so that button has to be clicked for all of them to actually be submitted to HCD. All right. Um, Next, we are going to go over a little bit about the both applications and what kind of information they collect. So the main application collects information that would apply to multiple sub-applications or to a jurisdiction more generally. So we only require it once. That's why you can only make one main application. This reduces redundancy, hopefully. And then some of the items that you will need is your authorizing resolution, your jurisdiction's SAM.gov registration, your single audit, statement of assurances, your public participation, and that kind of thing. That's only done really once. And then we have the sub applications, which for every matrix code you are applying for, you have to submit a sub application for that matrix code. And just a note about this, housing programs and economic development programs, at least in the NOFA, count as one application, but we don't want that to be confused, where you can have multiple matrix codes in a housing program or in an economic development program, and each of those matrix codes you use would require separate sub applications. So to avoid any confusion there, any matrix code you use needs a new sub application. And then this application collects project and program specific information, scope of work, milestones, site control, and NEPA review. Not to name everything, but those are some of the items that collects. And I mentioned that you can make multiple sub applications. You will need to do multiple sub applications for every um, matrix code you have. So please do not use the add another button from the page with the blue boxes and blue bars, or the blue bars in the squares. That will has a very likely chance of not creating a budget when generated. So um, if you don't have a budget that comes along with your application, it would be disqualified. So we're requiring that you do not create an application from this or yeah, do not create an application from this screen. Um, the only way that you should create another application would be the green create new application page in your portal account. And we'll see that in the demo. This will correctly um, generate a budget with your application and avoid any kind of issues like that. Moving on to budget. So the main budget for the main application will detail all the overall requested amount for each activity or matrix code that you are applying to, as well as general administration. And then the sub budget will be completed for every activity and will detail the requested amount for just that activity only, that specific activity, and will not include any other activity amounts or general administration. And then a budget narrative is only provided in the sub-budget. And now we'll go through each part of the budgets to show you what you will see and what to do and what not to do, because they can be a little confusing. So the first section of the main budget are the budget settings. Do not change anything here, even if you're able to. Do not do that. There's no need to change anything at this part. Next is details the activities that you're applying for, as well as any of the program income cash on hand that you'll be using. So you can see here in the green highlighted boxes, the title column, description column, and then the cost column were the only items that were changed. So do not change anything else about this section of the budget. Units, unit costs, extended costs should all remain as they are, as well as GL code and item type. In the title column, I input the title of, or you should input the title of your activity. And then in the description, you would input the matrix code of your activity. And that will adequately differentiate the activities that you're applying to in the main budget. And then to note, you can use cash on hand for your activities. So if you do decide to use cash on hand, it's important to separate that out. So you can see I have park improvements in the first row, and then I have park improvements, program income, cash on hand in the third row. So if you are using cash on hand for a certain activity, definitely separate it out, so there's no confusion on how much you're requesting and how much you're actually using in program income. And then the general administration portion of the main budget, you would just change the costs or the numbers in the cost column. So you would input the amount you're requesting for general administration on the first row. And then if you're using any cash on hand for general administration, you would put it in the second row. So you wouldn't change any other fields here. The next section, we're not sure why it's here, or I'm not sure, but do not use it. It's labeled do not use. Please don't use that. Um, it will just create a headache for everyone involved. Second to last section would be the future receipts of program income. So this isn't cash on hand. This is the amount that you expect to receipt during the life of the award, and then what you want to use. So receipt and then use. So you would click the gear symbol in this section and then add a table to input an amount. And we'll go over that in the demo as well. And then for the budget narrative, we don't want that for this, the main budget. So don't use that. And sometimes you'll have to put something in there if you click into it. It's a system limitation. So if that happens to you, it won't let you save without putting something in this box. Just put NA. That's totally fine. And then make sure to save your changes as well. All right, so now this is the sub budget for your sub application. So just like the main budget, don't put anything or change anything about the budget settings. And then this budget is activity specific, so you're only inputting the amount for a specific activity. So you're only going to be changing the cost column here. There's no need to change the title or the description or anything like that. We're also not recommending that you split activity and activity delivery costs, just lump them under the activity row. That just avoids confusion. But do please note that a more detailed budget should be included in the application sources and uses document, but not on this screen. This screen, we just want a number under the activity um, row, and then if you're using any cash on hand, put a number there as well. For general administration, sub-budgets are for activities only. So all of your general administration funds would be requested in the main budget already. So you do not have to put anything in here. Don't put anything in here to avoid any kind of confusion. And as just like the main application or the main budget, do not use section of this budget. Same as main budget, if you want to add your future receipts to this income to this budget, do so here. And then for the budget narrative, we do want to see a budget narrative in this section, describing how the funds will be used in a little more detail. And don't forget to save. All right. So now we're going to be going into the application demo. So just give me a few seconds to uh, set that up. All right. All right. Team, is my screen show am I showing my the correct screen?
Yes.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. So I'm going to be going through a few steps, just kind of what we already went over, but this is live on our website right now. Um, when I go to the application, it's not going to be available for the public until February 2nd. So I've already created an application in the portal system, just a few differences from what you'll see right now. So this is our CDBG website, and it is changed a little bit if you've ever taken a look at it, like maybe a few months ago. So we have our notice of funding availability right here, and you can apply now at the solicitation page. So this would take you to our solicitation or Unigrants or eCivis solicitation webpage, and this just lists everything that is currently open for application or will be open, I should say, as our application hasn't start date hasn't happened yet. And then you would click on the main application, and once the application starts, the Apply Here button will be right here. And just a little bit about this screen, there is a little bit of information about the program in general when it opens, and then there's a file tab as well with a lot of helpful documentation and actually required documentation to actually complete the application, just so you know. So I've already completed or started an application for these two, so we're going to go through there right now. And remember to use your portal login. All right. So for this one, we could see that I have a 2025 CDBG main application started, and then a sub application that's also started. I'm going to navigate to the main, and we go into the application. So this is where you log in a second time with your credentials, with your portal login specifically. And this is the part where it will remember your past accounts if you logged in already. So be sure to clear your cache if you're working for multiple jurisdictions. Here is the profile that you'll need to create at the start of every application. This one is just accepting my name, my first and last name. So I'm going to create that profile now. Perfect. So now that I've created the profile, it's successfully created the main application. So I'm going to open that by clicking the blue bar here in this square. All right, we'll see that this is the only form that needs to be completed for the main application. Um, it is the main application and threshold, so we're going to open that. And so you'll input all the requested information. A lot of the questions will be text-based. There are some upload fields for the appropriate documentation. There is also drop downs to identify the appropriate option for your jurisdiction. And you may also see that the questions will change depending on your answers. This is conditional logic that we've added to the application so that you only really see questions applicable to your situation or to your jurisdiction. Um, The required questions will be indicated with a red asterisk, so you'll have to provide something there, either an upload or an answer to actually complete the application. You can see here this question, for example, or these upload fields are miscellaneous as needed, so they're not required fields. And then if I try to mark it complete, I'll be asked to complete the required fields. So I'm going to keep this tab open, but I'm going to move over to the tab that we moved on from. Um, this is where we edit the budget, very important part of the application. You can see here that the project title is NA, so that is currently a system limitation. So if you have multiple applications and a solicitation, such as for the sub, you may be confused on which one belongs to which. So that's why I'm requesting that everyone start their budget as soon as they start an application. So click the pancake stack to edit the budget. You can see all of the form or the sections of the form that we looked at in the slides. Um, we have our activity, general administration, other, do not use, program income, budget narrative, and then save. So I'm just going to input a little bit, a few numbers to demonstrate the correct way to uh, do this application. So you can double click in any field here to edit, remembering that we only want to edit the title, description, and cost fields. So for this one, we're doing a park. Let's say we're doing a park improvements project, and that matrix code is 03F. And we want to request $2.5 million. That's all you would do. You would also input the same information, but separately for the same project if you are using program income cash on hand. Let's say we're adding 100,000 of our own program income cash on hand. We're also going to be, there's no specific order that you have to do this either, by the way, but this is the order that I have it on my cheat sheet here. We're also going to be applying for a food bank, which is matrix code 05W, and we're going to be requesting $280,000 for that. So you can see that we only changed title, description, and then the cost column, and then it auto-calculated here. And once we input numbers, it'll auto-calculate up here as well. For general administration, we're allowed 7% of grant funds, or 7% up to 7% of what we request for the activity to use for general administration. And so I've already calculated that for our request here, and that's going to be at $194,000 and $194,000. Can't say numbers. You see the number on the screen. We're also going to be using 17% of our program income. So that would be 17,000. And those are the only items that you would need to edit on this general administration section. Do not use, we're not using it. And then for future receipts, in this case, I want to use any program income receipts that we get during the life of this award, if we get it. So I'm going to say that we're going to get about $50,000 over the life of the grant. I'm just going to label title and description the same, and then put $50,000 here. That way, this section isn't auto-calculating here. It is calculated here only, but that's what we want. And then if this award is accepted, all of these are deemed to be funded, then we, as HCD, will know that you want to include $50,000 that you don't have yet, and we'll add that to your maximum award amount so that we don't have to do an amendment in the future. And then we add our budget narrative. So what, actually for this, the main budget, we don't do anything. But I think it may have me, oh no, we don't put anything in. That would be it. All right, so we're going to return to the application. It's going to open it up again, but we don't really need to do that. I'm going to exit. And once you exit the application in one tab, it'll recognize that and kick you back to the solicitation page. Let's see. So let's go through the sub application just real quick. I've already clicked create new application here. This is the only place that you want to create a new sub application. You can create more than one to accommodate all of the activities that you want to request or apply for. Do it just here, not on the screen that we'll be seeing. So I'm going to click into here. Log in again with your portal credentials. It's going to ask for a profile because this is another separate solicitation, technically. And then we can click into the application here. Here you could see, since you're allowed to have more than one application, you could add another here. But like I said, do not do that. That'll create a world of problems for everyone. So let's enter into the sub application. This year, for 2025 at least, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 forms that all need answers prior to submitting. Um, the types of questions you'll be getting, and the input that is needed is similar to the main application. You have drop downs, text input, and radio buttons as well, I believe. Oh, well, these aren't radio buttons technically, but everything is required with a red asterisk. And just to note um, about this form specifically, activity design, you're going to be asked this question up here. Select the matrix code for this application. Oh, I'm sorry, actually. Um, oh, sorry, I just remembered something I want to tell you as well. So you're going to select your matrix code here. All of the available matrix codes that we're allowing for under this NOFA or funding under this NOFA are here. And if you ever click the wrong one or something like that, and you click some options, it's kind of difficult to go back and to actually redo those answers. So what we've baked in is a reset option. So if you ever click one option and that was a mistake, you can just click reset. Everything will go back to the how it was, and then you can click your correct matrix code. And then the other thing I wanted to show you on the sub application is the activity specific threshold. I'm going to open this form. And just like activity design, it's also going to ask you what matrix code you're applying for in this sub application. So um, you'll see that this isn't a complete list. It is some, but not all of the matrix codes. So if you don't see the matrix code that you are applying for or you input in activity design, it's not a mistake. All you need to do is click here. Matrix code for this application is not listed, and that's by design because these matrix code require additional documentation or specific documentation depending on which one it is, and then these ones do not. So for example, if you have 05W, a food bank, it's not a mistake that it's not listed here. You just need to choose this option. All right. And just like the main application, we are going to add the budget here. So for this one, let's say that this one is for the park improvement project. So we are going to go to the activity section. We don't need to edit the title or description in this section. We just need to input the costs. So as we listed in our main application, this will be for $2.5 million. And then we'll also have 100,000 of program income. We don't need general administration because that's been covered under the main applications budget. We don't use the do not use section. And then if we're planning to use the future receipts for this application, we can input that here. Yep, it saved it. So if let's say we're going to add 25,000 of the future receipts that we listed in the main application will be applied here eventually. And then we have the budget narrative where we want to input a brief but descriptive description of how we're going to use the budget that's requested here. And then we save. And return to the application. And we can actually exit these now. And so nope. We have one sub-application listed here, and if we want to make another one, we just need to click here, and it'll automatically generate one. You can see now there's two budgets. And since I listed my park improvements project first, I see that it's 2.6 million, so I know that that one is connected to my park improvements sub-application, and this one is not. So we can kind of differentiate which is which. So that's really important that you do it as you create those applications. All right, that is all I wanted to show um, for this demonstration. You please remember to click the submit button that's in the form. Once you complete everything, the budget, all the forms, everything like that, you can submit it right here. It'll be available once you complete all the steps. All right, so now we can accept or I'll be reading the questions that have come in. Thank you so much for bearing with me for those 43 minutes. Let me just set up my screen a little differently. All right. And if I need to reference the application, I'll definitely continue to share my screen. There's just so many things going on my monitors right now. Team, am I sharing my screen anymore?
No.
Thank you. Oh, great. Our first question comes from Patricia Soto. Hello, Patricia. How do we change the email associated with the portal account? The current one belongs to an individual that is no longer employed, and we are afraid we will miss important emails from HCD. That's an important question. Thanks, Patricia. So, there's a couple items to consider. So, there can only be one portal account connected to an application at a time. Um, so if you lose access to, or if someone leaves your organization and the application was in their portal account, it may be very difficult to recover that application. Um, we may be able to change the owner of that application as a tech support issue. So you can always email us, our cdbg at hcdca.gov, excuse me. And then the other part would be if any active awards that HCD has awarded you, if they're connected to that portal account. If they are, it's actually much easier to change which portal account is associated with that award. And that's also just an email away from changing. You can request that from the rep. And if you don't know your rep, but if you have an active award, you definitely should at this point. You can just request that from them. Thank you, Susan, for the email in the chat. But if you don't have an active application or active award, you can just create a new portal account and use that for your application. And then, therefore, once it's awarded, that will be used for your award as well. And then, uh, for any important emails, we do try to keep our email database updated with everyone associated with webinars and our office hours. So definitely sign up for office hours to get your email connected with us. Um, yeah, and we'll try our very best to add you. And if you want to get yourself added, you can always put your email in the chat right here, and we'll add you as well. Thank you. Olivia Donley asks, what is the difference between the main application and the sub-applications? So I think you asked this before I went over that, but I'm happy to give a summary. So the main application is basically your jurisdiction-specific information, the information that doesn't change per application or per activity. And then your sub-application is all the activity-specific information that we want, such as the budget, the site control, the activity description, for example. Thank you, Olivia. Oh, Olivia, also, is this grant only for government entities to apply for, or can CBOs apply for this grant? So this grant, CDBG, is only available to non-entitlement jurisdictions. So those are cities, towns, and counties that are not directly participating with HUD, CDBG program. So CBOs would not be able to apply, but that doesn't mean a CBO cannot be involved with an award, for example. You would just have to partner with a jurisdiction to do whatever you'd like to do. Barbara Torres asks, can you clarify what SAP application means for this program, please? For context, I will submit one project and two planning. Um, got it. So, sub application matrix code specific would be the biggest takeaway. So if you want to do a project, and let's say that project is a street improvement, that's a 03K matrix code for street improvements. So you would need a separate sub application for that. And then your two planning applications, each would be actually 20A. So there's a little bit of nuance to this. Even though they're the same matrix code, you would still need to do two separate sub applications for those. So because it's a different activity technically. Thank you. Cynthia Mancha asks, what fiscal year is the single audit requirement? We will not have a single audit completed until May of 2026 for FY 24-25. Can we submit with caveat that single audit will be completed by award? Um, let me check quickly which one is required. I believe it is um, for this year, 22-23, but I would refer to the single audit webinar that we have, which will clear up any kind of questions about that.
Tanner, can I just piggyback off of that? So technically and you're absolutely right, and that was accurate. What we want is your most recent single audit that you've had. So we do double check on the state controller's office website. So you can always go take a look at what is listed on there. That is what we're going to see for your jurisdiction, and that's how we're going to confirm. So if you have a question on which one is your most recent, what your cycle you're in right now, or any of that kind of stuff, you'll see what we see if you do a check for your jurisdiction on the state controller's office website.
Thank you, Susan. I did, and I just on top of that, I did misspeak. It's not 22-23 that we are ultimately wanting. It's 23-24 with everything else that Susan said. Um, so thank you, Cynthia. Uh, Chrissy McCammond asks, is activity the same as matrix code? Um, More or less, activity is the same as matrix code. Um, for example, the prior example of having two planning applications, that's the same matrix code technically, but those are separate activities. Um, so that's the caveat that would be you would need to consider. Thank you. Beth asks, hello, is it possible to place a title on the budget document to allow us to identify the budget if we need to make adjustments during the application process? This will ensure we know which project program is associated with during later changes. Thank you. Beth, I really wish we could. This is currently a system limitation. that we're unable to change for this application period. Um, Ultimately, I would highly recommend, like I said during the slides, to do one budget at a time so you know which is associated with which. However, if there is a case where you are not sure, it's impossible to know, you can reach out to our unit inbox and we can do some investigation for you. Thank you, Beth. Anonymous attendee. If a jurisdiction wants to apply for a first-time home buyer program and an owner-occupied rehab program, they would submit two sub-applications, correct? The NOFA states that we can only submit one program application. Can you please confirm the two sub-applications count as one singular program application and is eligible? Yeah, yeah, that's right. So as part of a housing program, excuse me, you could have multiple matrix codes or activities. For example, you could have a first-time home buyer program as well as an owner-occupied rehab program under that program umbrella, and both of those would need a separate sub-application, but it would count as one program application, if that's not very confusing. So thank you for asking that. That's very much something that I want to clarify or keep clarified. Thank you. Brandy asks, the budget isn't at the bottom of the application screen as it used to be. Brandy, no, it's not. There has been a change since the last time you've probably used the application portal. It now opens in a separate tab instead of remaining on the same screen. And hopefully that's actually easier than it used to be. Thank you. Excuse me. Jennifer Warren asks, this might have already been asked or answered, but once the section has been completed, are we able to edit or make updates to the section so long as we have not submitted the application? That is correct. You can go back to a completed form or section to make changes, um, but not if you've already submitted the application. Thank you. Janet Reese asks, budget clarification. Based on what was typed in the demo, is the program income cash on hand the field we would use if we have non-CDBG funds available? I'm just a bit confused because it's not PI. Janet, great question. Thank you for asking. So any non-CDBG funds would not go onto the e-Civis budget. It would that is strictly for program CDBG program income and then CDBG grant that is requested um, through the application. Where you would put any other funding you have available is your sources and uses, and then there's also a question in the actual application if you have funding, uh, multiple fund types available. So definitely not in the actual application that I showed or the budget that I showed. Thank you, Janet. Kristen Martinique, are you saying my subrecipients cannot use GA? Um, I'm unsure.
Tanner,
You,
I'm guessing, sorry to jump in. I'm
yeah.
guessing that they're talking about not putting their GA on the sub application budget. So the place to put the
Oh,
GA is in the main application. So when Tanner was showing the sub budget walkthrough or the sub application walkthrough, you don't put GA on there. The way I always tell folks is like on the main application is the main jurisdictional information. The overall budget we're going to use for the whole thing. And then the sub applications are breakouts by we're going to do this project with this much of that. So if your overall amount is, 3 million, half of that's going to our owner occupied rehab and half of that's going to the other. And the GA would be added in the overall in the main budget. So the sub application budgets are only going to include budget information for the particular activities of which you can do three in various combinations as listed in the NOFA. And the main application will have the overall, we're going to use this total amount and this much going to GA. I hope that's helpful and makes sense, but I think that's what they were referring to.
Yeah, and just to kind of, I guess, further clarify, your subrecipient is able to use GA. It will just be pulled from general administration, and the main, well, once it's awarded, it will be called a main award, and then any activity funds will be pulled from the sub award. So, but they are not barred from using GA just because it's not in the sub application. Thank you.
Sorry, yeah, just to piggyback, because your clarification brought up another for me that, GA is for the jurisdiction. It's not really activities specific. So though the sub recipients can use it, it's really a set aside for the jurisdiction themselves. So hopefully that's
Yeah.
helpful,
Yeah, if your subrecipient, for example, is doing general administration work, you could definitely be reimbursed for those costs.
right?
That makes sense. And we're not taking any uh raised hand questions. We're not going to be putting anyone on the mic. So if you do have a question, please direct it toward the Q&A box so we can get to that. Anonymous attendee asks, how is your grant amount determined? So the grant amount, there is a limitations that are described in the NOFA. So I would suggest reading the NOFA to learn about those. Thank you. Brandy asks, legislative is not on the sample questions. District 1 no longer has a U.S. representative. What should we put? That's a very interesting question. I'm aware of that issue. So you, for the time being, that's actually interesting. So at the time of, we collect all that information, just to give you some background, we collect that information to provide award notifications to elected officials. And so we don't do that at the time that you apply. We do that at the time everything has been awarded. And we would confirm the information is correct prior to actually sending any letters to that elected representative. So if you don't have a current representative for District 1, it would be okay to put not applicable or not filled at this time or something to that effect. But whoever does fill that seat in the future will be notified once they are appointed or elected. Thank you, Brandy. Jennifer Warren asks, can a planning study engineering plans for a public improvement be applied and reimbursed? Or does the engineering, etc., reimbursement occur once the on the ground work is completed? Can a planning study engineering plans for a public improvement be applied? Oh, so I believe you're referring to pre-award costs. So to get a activity shovel ready, for example, a public improvement like a street improvement or something, you would need, or maybe you're adding a new playground, you would need plans for that. Um, those would need to be ready at application time. So if you input those costs in your application as items that you'd like reimbursed as pre-award costs, we will be able to reimburse you once or if you're awarded an award. Good question. Anonymous attendee, is the grant a once in a lifetime grant? Anonymous attendee, this grant is an annual allocation from the Department of Housing and Urban Development that the state then passes through to cities, towns, and counties to use for public improvement and public services. So it's an annual allocation from Congress. Jasmine Arnold, do I have to claim the grant on my taxes? This, since it's only available to cities, counties, and um, towns, it wouldn't be applicable to an individual tax case, like as a person. How detailed, or Enrique, sorry, asks how detailed should the budget justification be? A justification for each line item, personnel, salaries, operating expenses, or a paragraph justification. So there's two parts I want to address. We have the sources and uses, which we do want to see the breakdown of what's going to personnel salaries, what's going to operating expenses, what's going to any other subrecipient or activity that's going on. Um, and then we want those numbers. And then in the narrative itself, we would want a brief explanation of what the funding is requested for, including any kind of personnel salaries or anything like that, just in simpler, briefer text-based format. Excuse me. Amy Augustine asks, can we start an application once it opens, save it, leave it, and come back and finish? Or must it have to be done all at the same time, all at once? Amy, you can uh, open it, save it, and leave it, and come back to it and finish it then. So there is a save for later button that you can press. It'll save your work.
Tanner, I'm going to piggyback off of that, just because I've been seeing some issues come through for the support, the Grants Network support. It's there's a save as draft button, and please, please, please click that many, many times throughout your entire process. We have had some timeout issues where you would enter information, you leave for an hour away from your desk, but keep it open, and then it times you out, and all the information that you
Mm.
entered didn't actually get saved. So I highly encourage you to click that save as draft as many times as you possibly would like to.
That
Thank
is an
you.
awesome addition, Jeannie. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, please save your work just like you would in any Word document. Um, well, we have autosave now, but you don't understand what I'm saying. Thank you, Jeannie. Anonymous attendee asks, what is the maximum amount for a grant? Anonymous attendee, please refer to our NOFA that's been published on our website, which the link to our website is in the chat. Enrique asks, is having a full bid ready packet for a facility project a threshold requirement or it can be submitted after an award? It is a threshold requirement and is required at application. Sherry Mercado asks, we are a consultant to a city and the city already has an eService account. Can we create an account linked to that city? But then the city submits the application. So currently the only one portal account is allowed per um, application. So you would be able to have have it in an account and then have another account work on it at the same time as that the first one. It would it's limited to just one as of now. Ariaka Jacobs, thank you for the great presentation. Please add me. Okay, will do. Thank you. Susan Long asks, if you are a consultant writing the grant on behalf of the applicant, can they be granted access to the application in eCibis by the city county, or does the consultant need to log in through the city county account? So as I answered, uh, there's only one account per application allowed currently. Anonymous attendee asks, we have a client who needs to complete an income survey for an application. Will the team have time to approve an income survey in the next 30 days to allow us to complete this process prior to the application due date? Based on this, is it not likely the state will have time to approve the survey? Would you still allow us to submit the application and improve the survey as part of the application process? Um, I Anonymous attendee, I think we probably need more information to help you. Could you please reach out to our CDBG unit inbox? Thank you. Maria Lara asks, what type of activities are funded under 03D youth centers? 03D youth centers is a facility type project. So it would be an actual construction or rehabilitation into a youth center, primarily what that is. Erica Jacobs asks if my organization's fiscal year is on the calendar year, does this mean I must submit 2 years of financial reviews, 2023 and 2024? Um, uh, Organizations other than cities, towns, and counties are not eligible to apply, and we would need the city, town, and counties applicable single audit. Um, but if you're on a calendar year, um, you, I would suggest asking our inbox how to move forward there. Brandy asks, under activity-specific contact, consultant subrecipient information, if the subrecipient is administering the grant, would we add the same information that is in activity design if there is a subrecipient and contractor? Do you want both under activity-specific contact consultant subrecipient information if only the subrecipient is administering the grant and the contractor is implementing the grant? That's a real thinker. Let me reread that. I don't have an answer for you right now, Brandy. Um, Please email. Oh, 1 second.
Brandy, let me see if I can't help tackle this. I remember, I think I know what you're getting at here. And if not, let us know. So the activity specific contact form is trying to collect what we're trying to do is collect who to contact, who should like email addresses, names, phone numbers. Whereas in the activity design, when we're asking for consultant or subrecipient information, it's to collect sam.gov documentation, what is it? Any contracts that you might have together, um, to establish, I forgot what section that was in. It's capacity, I believe, to establish capacity. And then the contact section would be to collect the actual like email address, phone numbers, things of that nature. Hopefully that answers your question. If you need something a little bit more specific, then I think Tanner was going to say email the inbox cdbg@hcd.ca.gov if that doesn't quite hit the mark.
Perfect. Thank you, Jeannie, for the save. And I have gotten some questions that have come through in a very disrespectful tone. Just as a reminder, this is a professional environment. We are all professionals, and we should all remain professional. in this webinar as well. And we will not be answering questions with that kind of tone. Thank you. All right, let's move forward. Christy McCammond asks, can subrecipients charge for indirect costs? I think, Susan, go ahead.
Yes, the short answer to that is yes. Their indirect costs are generally allowable, whether you have a de minimis rate or you have a negotiated federal rate. There are questions in the application that ask about that, and that would be where you would enter that information. And if you have additional questions on indirect costs and your rates or anything like that, please go reach out to the CDBG unit inbox, cdbg at hcd.ca.gov, and we'll see what we can do to give you those particular CFR codes and things. Oh, perhaps I might be wrong that there aren't questions like that on the application itself. Sorry, I misspoke. I would put it in the narrative, but please reach out to the unit inbox and we'll give you some more specific information and the statutes so that you can make sure you're using the correct indirect cost rate. Hopefully that's helpful.
Thank you, Susan. Isaiah Rosas asks, in matrix code 05Z, other public services not listed, and 05A only need one sub-application or two. Matrix code is working with both youth and seniors. So 05 codes and 03T are public services. So if, for example, you have something that doesn't fit directly within the matrix codes, 05Z is sometimes an appropriate answer. I recommend reaching out to our inbox to gain clarification on that. Ariaka Jacobs asks, is this available to regional centers? No, it is available to cities, towns, and counties that are non-entitlement jurisdictions. Philip Anderson asks, is doing a feasibility study and planning for an ADA restroom facility in our city considered economic development or planning matrix? It would not be economic development. I could say that for sure. Let's see. Susan, can you help me again?
Yeah, so feasibility studies are planning on ADA restroom. I think maybe we need a little bit more information to be able to give you proper feedback. I could go into a whole bunch of what ifs, but I would recommend please reach out to the CDBG unit inbox and give us a little more specifics. And then we can direct you to the proper matrix code you might need to use for this.
Thanks again, Susan. Appreciate it. Anonymous attendee asks, does submitting your application early lead to a higher chance of being awarded? Let's see.
I would say it could.
It
It
could. There
just,
is a.
yeah, there is a caveat that could come into play if there's quite a number of tie breaking, because this is a competitive process for all applications this time. But if we can't break a tie, then the tiebreaker, as listed in the on our website, you can see the scoring matrix, and at the bottom of that, it does say that that's when the timing will come into play, assuming that what you're applying for has a whole bunch of ties and we need to do a tiebreaker, that would be a tiebreaker. So definitely want to do your application as quickly as possible as in prior years.
Thank you, Susan. Lindsay Black, can you add me as well? Done. Thank you, Lindsay. Chrissy McCammon, thank you. Thank you for coming. Ariaka, thank you for coming. Sherry Mercado asked, does HCD happen to have PDFs of the application and sub-application questions fields? As consultants, we won't be able to access the online portal, but we need a guide to help the city answer the questions and gather the information. Thank you. Sherry, those questions are available in PDF format under the eCivis solicitation link in the Files tab. Thank you. There are no more questions in our Q&A. I'll give just a couple of more minutes, see if any others come through. And then this webinar is being recorded and will be available on YouTube as will the slides soon. There's a little bit of a process to get them uploaded, but they will be available soon. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We appreciate you coming and asking questions. It's very helpful. Helps pe other people as well. So, and then our my colleague Twee has just posted the YouTube playlist that where this will live. So check that out. All right. Bye, everyone.